What's up, guys? All right, here we go. I gotta adjust the camera a little bit. All right, here we go. Sorry, hair is a mess right now. I gotta go get it cut up and shit like that. But let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. I've been wanting to talk about sports more lately. I actually really think I want to get into sports more and things like that. But let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. What is wrong with the Cleveland Browns? A lot of people are saying it's Deshaun Watson. A lot of people are saying it's this. A lot of people are saying it's not all him. Well, look at the stats. Let's look at everything that they've done. I think they've been playing pretty. It's been a pretty rough year to be a Cleveland Browns fan. Which honestly, it's a very tragic thing to be a Cleveland Browns fan. It's actually really sad. The thing that I want to talk about is let's talk about it in general. As a fan basis, it's absolutely terrible. Like the organization in itself has just been an absolute mess. I really don't. As a, it kind of makes you want to go crazy watching them on Sunday. But let's talk about facts. So, Sean Watson was traded for multiple first-round draft picks, which turned into C.J. Stroud, which multiple playmakers for the Houston Texans, who will instantly bet a playoff team. And meanwhile, Deshaun Watson had 36 sexual assault cases against him, which, by the way, is more. There's more sexual assault cases against Deshaun Watson than there is TDs he's thrown in 3 years for Cleveland. He's only thrown 19. You can look that up as of today. I mean, he might throw one on Sunday against Philly. Doubt it. Very unlikely with Philly's deep. Well, unless they blow us out and bring the backups in, then we can watch him struggle. So what do you do with him? If you're the Browns organization, what do you do? Like, do you take the 86 to 56 million dollar hit if you cut Watson, or is that the whole problem? And the thing is, Deshaun Watson is not the entire problem. The coaching staff, the ownership, everything is right now the problem. You're looking at a team whose defense maybe. Hey, my bulldog. Hey, my bulldoggy. You're looking at a defense who could be the number one defense in the entire league if they weren't playing 36 minutes of the entire game because the offense can't stay on the field. But one of the big things I seen was that we didn't resign Bill Callahan to be our offensive line coach. I think he's in Tennessee. A lot of people don't think that's a big thing, but when you run the Gary Kubiak scheme, which Kevin Stefanski does, which we'll get into that here in a second, it blows up your entire O line play. I mean, we have injuries on the O line and things like that and all that other stuff. Hey, I would tell you stop. Um, you know, things like that. But he's gone. Our offensive line coach, the best offensive line coach in football, is gone. So, who's coaching our offensive line? I'm not sure. Receivers, Jerry Jeudy, Amari Cooper, they're not getting open. And the reason they're not getting open is we're not running our usual offensive scheme. You can see this year versus the past 2 years, it's a completely different scheme. Joe Flacco made our offense look like all world. But look at how we run our offense right now versus how we did the past 2 years. It's not the same. They are coaching to try to make Deshaun look amazing, but there's no blocking. Nobody's getting open. I don't think the routes are quick enough. I think they're trying to hit these deep balls, and no one respects the run game anyway in Cleveland. So if you don't respect the run game in Cleveland, and you don't respect the quarterback in Cleveland, and you know they can't run the ball, let alone block, Deshaun Watson's he's going to look like crap. And anybody's going to look like crap in that situation. Even if Joe Flacco played in Cleveland this year, he would look like crap because we have no blocking and no run game to speak of. At least last year, we were able to stretch the field, throw the ball down the field, and do things like that. But this year, we don't have it. We don't have that. Our offensive scheme is terrible. Now, Mr. Chubb is coming back, which leads to a big question. Do you play Mr. Chubb in the situation we have right now? I don't think so. I think you let Chubb sit as long as possible. Just let him sit. Let him sit as long as possible. Because here's the thing: if you can't block for the pass, you're not going to be able to block for the run. If you can't block for the run and no one respects your running game because you literally have no blocking, you're still not going to be able to pass. Yes, Chubb is a dynamic player. Honestly, he's probably one of the top 5 players in the NFL before injury. I think he'll have a great. I think he'll have a great turnaround, and I think he'll be fine this year. And I think he's going to bounce back and be the exact same player because the injury wasn't exactly what everyone thought it was. It wasn't as bad as everyone thought it was. And Nick Chubb is an absolute animal. I mean, I seen a video. He was squatting like 500-600 pounds. Like the dude's a freak. He's just like an Adrian Peterson. It doesn't matter what happens to him. He's going to come back. The dude's like freaking Wolverine or something like that. He just heals, gets better, comes back, and just balls. So I don't think we're going to have an issue with Nick Chubb. I don't think Amari Cooper's the problem. I don't think Jerry Jeudy's the problem. I don't think David Njoku's the problem. I think the problem is our offensive scheme, and I think the problem is our blocking. Now, Deshaun, on the other hand, I do think it's a big problem. I think that he's lost all confidence in himself, and honestly, he has all these distractions outside the field. It does not look like he's on the field focused on what he needs to do. There's no way. There's no way. Like I've watched multiple games where he's just overthrown receivers. He's out of time. It looks like he's trying to look off a safety, but in reality, he's just staring down his target. And here's the thing. For years, everyone said he was this all-world quarterback, top 3 quarterback in the league, all that stuff. But he digs himself a hole because, in my opinion, he hid behind DeAndre Hopkins, who arguably, for the first 7 years of DeAndre Hopkins' career, was the best receiver in football with the biggest catch radius, but he was overshadowed by Megatron, Tyreek Hill. He was overshadowed by so much because, let's face it, if you think about Texas, what do you think of the Dallas Cowboys? The Texans don't have anything that you're going to be like, oh, yeah, they got J.J. Watt and this, But it's not the same. It wasn't the same. You're not focusing on the Texans. You're not focusing on that team. You know what I mean? So it's very weird because you look at those stats and they look amazing, but he had so much stuff to hide behind. Very sad. But, they gave up the world for him. They shipped the Baker Mayfield out, the last quarterback to win them a playoff game, which honestly he did. He actually would have won them 2 playoff games if the questionable offensive calling in the last minutes against the Chiefs game and defense that absolutely broke down and let Chad Henne run for 12 yards on 4th down. We would have won 2 playoff games. Do I think we would have won to the Super Bowl? No. Do I think we would have won the Super Bowl? No. I don't think the team was actually ready for that, but there was potential because Baker wasn't the same player that he is in Tampa. In Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield has exactly what he needs. Baker Mayfield, which I'm sorry I'm going on this tangent, Baker Mayfield has 2 all-pro receivers, an underrated tight end. The only thing he's missing down there is a running game because White is not that good of a runner, but honestly, he has 2 all-pro offensive tackles, a great center, a great guard, and above average guard play. But they just don't have a great running back. I think that Tampa Bay is just a running back away. If they have somebody who can just be patient, hit the holes like they're supposed to, and just get out there. But don't get me wrong, he's still a good player. He's just coming into his own, and I think as soon as the game slows down for him, they'll be great down there. But, I mean, if you look at the roster we have that Super Bowl year, and you took out Jarvis, and you took out OBJ, and you put in Amari, and you put in Jerry Jeudy, that's a different team. Because Amari is better than both Jarvis and OBJ. OBJ is fucking terrible. Excuse my French. He's washed up. I don't care what anybody says. He is absolutely washed up. He was washed up when he left the Giants. He's never going to be a number one receiver. He will never be a number one receiver. He will always be a second to third option. His numbers have proved it. Ever since he left the New York Giants, he has never broken 1,000 yards. I mean, I think the highest he had was 600 and something with, 6 touchdowns. He will never be a number one target. The only reason he was a number one target for the freaking Giants because they had amazing running game, they had amazing tight end play, they had amazing receiver play, and he was the fastest one, and he had a Hall of Fame quarterback throwing in the ball. You don't have many Hall of Fame quarterbacks playing right now. You have a lot of B-plus quarterbacks playing right now, not A-plus. I mean, there's probably only 3 A-plus quarterbacks in the NFL right now, which, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, who, by the way, even though he's an A-plus quarterback and he runs the ball a lot, he gets touchdowns and he wins games. That's how you call him an A-plus quarterback. And honestly, Joe Burrow's an A-plus quarterback. But Cincinnati's organization is just as dysfunctional as the Browns. They have no idea what they're doing down there. But Cleveland, the front office is sad. Everything is sad that's going on with the Cleveland Browns. It's terrible to watch. It's a terrible product to watch. They need a spark. They need something. But is it all in Deshaun Watson? 85% of it is. They're trying to make him the focal point. They're trying to make him the star, and he's the worst quarterback in the league right now. His numbers are worse than Aaron Rodgers for the Jets. That's how bad it is. Like his QBR, I think, is like 8. And that's terrible. Zach Wilson had better numbers than Aaron Rodgers. I mean, not Aaron Rodgers, excuse me, than Deshaun Watson has right now. That is absolutely. I mean, look at Sam Darnold in Minnesota. You want to look about an organization that knows how to get players and knows how to coach players and make players win and get talent, get young talent, and how to manage cap. Look at Minnesota. Minnesota's got J.J. McCarthy sitting on the bench, who's injured, and they got Sam Darnold out there playing like he's all world. So there's a lot of lessons that Cleveland could learn from other organizations on how to get talent, how to get things like that. But they shot themselves in the foot with the cap. They shot themselves in the foot with Deshaun Watson's contract. They shot themselves in the foot by getting rid of Bill Callahan for the offensive line, and it's freaking terrible. Like I said, I think Deshaun Watson is 85% of the problem. I think they should switch to Jameis, and if they do switch to Jameis, play Nick Chubb. Don't play Nick Chubb with Deshaun Watson because he's going to break his other leg. I mean, that's why Chubb got hurt. Couldn't do anything on offense. Give the ball to Chubb, he'll do something. That's why Nick Chubb got hurt. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible organization to watch. It actually makes me sick to watch them. Like, I turn on Tampa Bay and I turn on Minnesota during the game to actually go, oh, wow, look at these organizations. They know what they're doing. They build around their players. And the thing is, Kevin Stefanski is a great coach. He is an amazing, amazing coach. Like, he is. 2-time Coach of the Year. Made Joe Flacco look like he was young again, all world. He had multiple quarterbacks last year that we still won games. And then you look at Deshaun Watson, and I don't know if it is an organizational decision to play Deshaun Watson or if it is a owner decision to play Deshaun Watson, but there is something wrong in Cleveland. And I think they are forcing Deshaun Watson to go out there. And I think they are forcing Kevin to play Deshaun Watson to try to get this done, and it's not going to happen. If Deshaun Watson goes out there and gets absolutely knocked out by TJ Watt or another defender and he can't play, and Jameis comes in, you're going to see a spark like no other, and I think Cleveland will win a lot of games because Jameis Winston will drive. He doesn't care. He'll drive the ball down the field. Deshaun Watson is gun shy. Deshaun Watson he looks like a man panicked back there, and I would too with that kind of blocking and things like that. But in the end of the day, he is hindering the offense by not driving the ball, not doing things that he needs to be doing, because he's so distracted on everything outside the field. Like you said, he only has 19 touchdowns. He has like 36 sexual assault cases. 3 years, that's terrible. Our former quarterback, our former starter, Baker Mayfield, down there in Tampa Bay. I mean, he had 29 last year if you count postseason. I don't think he was the problem. If you think about what we gave up with those draft picks, I think that what we could have made in Cleveland, oh my God. And you just kept Baker and Chubb and everything else and you drafted accordingly. Just think of the receivers that were in that draft. Just think of them. Like you can name multiple receivers we could have grabbed, multiple offensive linemen we could have grabbed. Instead, Houston has them. And maybe we didn't. Maybe we're going to keep Baker, and we didn't want C.J. Stroud. Think of the talent we could have got with that pick. It's hard to watch Cleveland. It is hard to watch Cleveland. Jimmy Haslam, I know you wanted that trade. I know that it was more of a Jimmy Haslam thing than it was a Kevin Stefanski thing, but and I know there's no way that because Kevin's so smart, there's no way that this is a Kevin thing of him being on the field. I think this is an ownership thing, and Haslam, I don't care what kind of cap cut you need to take. Get him off the team. He is a cancer. There's no way they voted him for captain. There's no way. So, yeah, it's a sad thing, and I'm gonna make more NFL videos just so you guys know. I'm gonna talk about more NFL stuff, but this was my Browns thing. But yeah, it's when Deshaun Watson gets knocked out of the game, I will start watching the Browns more. But I don't know if I can stomach another game this season until Mr. Chubb comes back. I'm probably going to watch him on Sunday and throw up all over the place because of how bad it is. But, we'll see. Yeah, Cleveland's terrible. And I wish you guys all the best. And see how everything else goes. And, we'll go from there. But, yeah, the Browns, absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible, and I feel bad for any Browns fan out there.